Hey everybody, I just wanted to come on today and talk to you about knives and cutting surfaces, because these are two things that are obviously a basic part of every kitchen. And if you have a knife and a cutting board, you can do just about anything to get your food prepped. Might not be the easiest way, because we have obviously some products that make certain tasks way easier, but with a good knife and a good cutting surface, you can make that happen. So let's begin with cutlery. So we carry two lines of cutlery. This is my absolute favorite knife in our entire line, and that is our 8-inch chef's knife. And this is a really well-made knife. Each piece is hand forged with a lifetime guarantee. So this steel is very, very hard steel. It's tempered by heat. So this blade has been partially formed with a heat process, which helps harden that steel. You can see when I hold it like this that the steel runs all the way through to the end of that knife. That's one solid piece of steel, and that gives it just perfect balance. You ought to be able to take your knife and balance it on the knuckle of your first finger there. That means you've got great balance in that knife. And when you are taking care of your knives, one thing that we tell you not to do is ever put them in the dishwasher. Knife blades are gonna get dull. I don't care what kind of knife you have, eventually they are going to get dull with use. How do you know if you have a dull knife? Well, if you're starting to slice a tomato and it squishes more than slices, probably have a dull knife blade. Onions are a real test. If you find yourself sliding off the onion, chances are that knife blade has become a little bit dull. So we wanna make sure we do everything possible to keep it sharp to start with, and then I'll talk to you about why that happens. Your cutting surface is going to play a huge role in whether your knife stays sharp or not. If you are cutting on granite or corian or stainless steel or glass or acrylic, those surfaces are all way harder than that very micro thin edge of the blade. All right, they're hard, and if you're hacking away on that, you are definitely going to do some damage to that blade. It's going to get dull way, way, way faster. Don't want that to do it. So my advice is to get our wood cutting board, which I don't happen to have here. It's in my other kitchen, but it's not only beautiful, I leave it out because it's just so gorgeous, and you can, obviously wood is a great surface as far as not damaging your knife blade. I love the utility of our cutting boards. These are made out of a material that's the happy medium. It's soft enough to not damage your knife blade, but it's also hard enough to not create large gashes and gouges, which are a nice hiding place for bacteria. So we want to have the happy medium. That's what these are. They come in 3 sizes. The large one that I have here has a nice well on one side. So if you're carving a roast or cutting a watermelon or something, you can catch all those drips and not have them run off the counter down the front of yourself. And the other side is just nice and big, and I'll use this sometimes for cookie cutting out. It's a nice non-stick surface too, so you'll find it to be really, really helpful. And then our other line of cutting boards are the flexible cutting mats. And these also have a silicone backing, just like this has a silicone edge, because you want to keep things stable on your countertop, not slip sliding around. These come in a set of 3, so they're very, very affordable. If you have the 3, why do you need 3? Because you don't want cross-contamination. Sometimes I'll be prepping chicken on one, I want to chop my veggies on another one, and I don't have to worry about cross-contamination that way. And I love that you can chop up the veggies or the meat or whatever, and then just go to your pot and pop it right on in there, so it's super easy to do. Using surfaces like that is going to take care of those blades and keep them sharp. So what happens when a knife starts to get dull? If you could look at this under a microscope, imagine that you have a piece of paper like this. You're going to see little teeny tiny foldovers and out of alignment. And you only can see that under a microscope, but the more that happens, the less effective your knife becomes in doing what it should do. A good test of whether your knife is sharp or not is to take a piece of paper, hold it upright, and slice through the piece of paper. If you can slice right on through, then you've got a good sharp knife. If it doesn't want to do that, tears, pulls, probably need to start sharpening it. So we sell a honing tool, and what a honing tool does is straighten out those curvatures and bendy things in the blade. We want to avoid sharpening too much because sharpening actually removes material from that blade. And we want to keep the blade as intact as possible. If you've ever had like a grandparent who had a knife, they've had it for 50 years, and there's not a whole lot left of the knife because they have sharpened it so many times. So the honer just is ceramic rods set at exactly the right angle, and you're just going to push and pull your knife blade through those rods. And I try to do this about every, 5 or 6 times that I use it. I leave it out, and it's got a little pad here so that you don't accidentally cut your countertops or whatever you're doing that on. But you'll be able to feel that, oh boy, now I've got my sharp edge back. It's really, really amazing. So we have a whole line. I'll post photos of the different types of these knives. The 5-inch utility knife is a really great try me piece if you're thinking, well, maybe I want to invest in some really good knives. And believe me, I think good knives are one of the best, like good cookware and good knives are two of the most important things you can spend money on because they're there for your lifetime and they matter. You use them every single day for something. The 5-inch utility knife is a great size. You can peel with it, you can pare with it, you can slice with it. It's 5-inch blade, so it's gonna do, I'll show you this is the size of the utility knife. So it's a really good size for a lot of different things. There's a serrated knife, there's a paring knife. I love the petite paring knife. It's a really nice size and it fits my hand very, very well. But mostly I like the chef's knife, and I've learned that by learning to use a knife like this, it's a lot less work chopping stuff up because when you are trying to do everything with your hands, they get tired after a while. If you've ever been canning and you're peeling all those peaches by hand or you're snapping beans or whatever it is you're doing, a lot of things with your hands gets old pretty quick. So with the chef's knife, this actually comes with a little circle on it. See if you can see that, the little Pampered Chef emblem, there it is. That's where you're going to put your thumb. So instead of holding it by the handle, which most people think you do, you actually want to put your hand, your thumb on one side and your forefinger on the other, just like this, and then relax your hand. And that's how you're going to do the cutting. And instead of cutting like this, it's more of a motion like this. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see what I'm doing. So really leave the tip of that blade on the surface a lot. If I'm cutting up celery or dicing onions, it's like this. And you'll notice it's my arm that's doing the work. It's not my hand. My hand's just holding that knife in place. So it takes a little practice, but do it on a day when you're making soup or something because like celery is a great thing. That's how I learned. I practiced on celery. And potatoes, because you can dice potatoes, you can julienne potatoes, you can slice potatoes, you can do a lot of things with the potato and practice your knife skills. And then if you get really good, across the kitchen and the cupboard door. No, I'm kidding. So that's the forged cutlery, okay? We also carry a line of color-coded cutlery. So this is a whole different material in the blade. Dishwashing. Dishwashing is bad for a couple of reasons. One, it's very, very hot. And remember how I told you that these are tempered with heat, so you want to avoid that high heat element that's in a dishwasher. But also, any dishwashing detergent is abrasive. And that, I don't care what kind you have, it's all abrasive. And over time, it can start to damage and abrade that sharp edge that you have. So to keep your knife nice and sharp, you want to not put it in the dishwasher, just soapy water, wash it by hand, dry it immediately, and put it back. You also don't want to store it in a drawer with a whole bunch of other stuff because for one thing, you have a danger of getting yourself cut. But also, when it's clanking against other utensils, it's going to damage that sharp, sharp edge. Why is it important to have a sharp knife? It makes your job so much easier. And contrary to popular belief, it is not more dangerous to have a sharp knife. It is absolutely the opposite. If your knife is slipping and sliding on the food, you stand a way better chance of getting yourself sliced than not. A sharp knife gives you a nice clean cut, which heals very, very quickly. So yay for that, right? So our color-coded cutlery is not lifetime guaranteed, but for the price point, I will have to say it's a really great buy. And it's a good entry point if you're just starting a kitchen and you weren't lucky enough to have a Pampered Chef bridal shower where somebody got you the good knives. They're a really good price point to start at. So I highly recommend those as well. And I'll post photos of all those pictures. So that's all for now. Bye.